Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Funfold Friday. Thank you for joining me either on the live or on the replay. I appreciate you stopping by my page and checking out what we're doing today. Let me just move this a little bit and get everything into view. There we go. So tonight I am going to make this cute pen holder and post-it note holder with a little calendar on the front. So it stands on its own. So we're making a little mechanism here that will allow it to stand on its own, and we're making a pocket to put everything in. And what I'm going to be using tonight is the Dainty Delights, or Dainty Flowers, excuse me, it's Dainty Delight stamp set. Dainty Flowers designer series paper, which coordinates with the Dainty Delight bundle, which is this beautiful stamp set. I'm always drawn to floral images, and this one is just so sweet. And it has sentiments. Thank you for your kindness. Sending love during this season of growth. Celebrate you. The best is yet to come. And then it comes in a bundle with these dies. And look at that. You've got the dies that will cut the larger images in the stamp set. And then you have some beautiful dies that will cut different floral images, greenery. So, quite the die set. There are a total of 16 dies in this die, which is really nice. And this is going to be available to purchase next week. It is from the new mini catalog, the January through April catalog. And this paper is in the celebration brochure, and it's just so beautiful. So let me just share with you the different designs. I normally cut it into 6x6 to share, but I didn't want to destroy this. This is just so pretty with these floral wreaths and floral images here. And then you've got this really pretty background, all the different flowers. And remember that some of the dies will actually help. This is the sheet I'm going to be using tonight. I just cut it in half here to make my images. So each one that you make is going to be just a little bit different. And then look at the background. I just love this background. It always happens that my favorite sheets, both sides are, tend to be my favorite. We have this beautiful greenery and some pretty fuchsia background, some fuchsia flowers, and then another image of the smaller flowers and the pink background. So a really pretty set of paper, and the colors that go with it are the Blushing Bride, Crushed Curry, Fresh Fuchsia, Mossy Meadow, Alt Olive, Rich Raspberry, and Starry Sky. So a really nice bunch of flowers. So what do I need for tonight? I'm going to make this right from the get-go because we have to do a lot of cutting and scoring, and so I didn't want to pre-do that. But here's what we need for tonight. We're going to need designer series paper that's 3.5 by 4 and 3.5 by 2. Now, right now, I have several 3.5s by 2 because I haven't quite decided which one I want to use yet. I'm leaning towards this one or this one. So I'm going to put those two at the top of the pile, but I have several so that I can make some choices. So this is going to be for the background. So it's going to be for this part of the vertical post-it note holder. I also have a piece that measures 1 inch by 4, and I don't quite need it to be 4, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. It's not listed here on this measurement sheet, but I am going to decorate the inside of the pen. And I don't know if you can tell with the glare that it has been decorated, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So that's an extra piece that we're going to need. You're also going to need one sheet of cardstock. It doesn't matter. It's going to match whatever you want. I'm using Mossy Meadow, but you will need a full sheet. There will be some left over from it, but you can get the entire thing made from one full sheet. And I'm going to go over these measurements in a minute. You're also going to need, for this particular design, I've got some mini calendars that I'm going to put on the front of it. And I got these online. I think I probably bought them on Etsy or somewhere. But they're just for the whole year. And if you don't have these calendars, you could put a little label with just a note. You could decorate it any way you want it, or stamp an image and put that on the front of the pocket. But I'm going to use this, and of course Post-it notes, my pen and ribbon. Let me just get all of this moved out of the way, and we're going to get started. So let me just get my paper trimmer out. I am actually going to be making these for everyone at work. So my weekend is planned to make a bunch of these. I've got, I think, only 2 done. Tonight will be number 3. So what I'm going to do is cut my cardstock in half. So it's going to be 5.5 by 8.5. And then I am going to score it at 2 1/4. And so I'm just going to move my cutting blade out of the way. So I'm going to score it at 2 1/4. And then I'm going to score it at 2 3/4. I knew I wouldn't remember these measurements, so there we go. And then I'm going to turn it to the long way, and I'm going to measure it at 3/8 and 7/8. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to use this part of this side of my cutter. So I'm going to start and go to 3/8, and again make sure my cutting blade is up, and I'm going to score, and then I'm going to score at 7/8. And then what I want to do is I've got my 2 score lines down here. This is just going to help me when I do my cutting later. I'm going to take my cutting blade and I am going to cut down to this very first score line. So I can see that right here, and I can bring my cutting blade right down to it and cut right to that line. I'm going to turn my paper over. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to score it at 3/8. So move that cutting blade again. And then I'm going to score it at 7/8. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing, though now my lines are up here. So I'm going to want to, and my cut is here. So I'm going to want to bring my blade to that, and make sure I go to the right place, to that second line right now. So it's right here, and I'm going to cut down. So now I have my cuts here and here. So I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Now I'm going to take this piece, and I am going to cut my second piece of designer series paper to 3 3/4 by 8 1/4. So I'm going to go to 3 3/4 first, and I'm going to cut that. This is my spare piece that I'm not going to be using, and I need to cut 1/4 inch off. So I'm going to go to the 1/4 inch mark and cut that little piece off too. And then I'm going to do some scoring on this piece. So I'm going to be scoring it at 1.5 inch. So I'm going to start, oh, I just got something on it. I'm going to start at the 1/2 inch, which is right here. I'm going to do this side of my measurement, get my cutting blade out of the way, and then I'm going to turn and go in this way. So I've got my 1/2 inch done, and now I'm going to score it at 1.5 and 2.5. So I'm going to go to 1.5, and I'm going to go to 2.5. And this is to make my mechanism that's going to stand the card afterwards. So then I'm done with my cutting tool. So let's get started on this piece. I'm actually going to use this, cut one more thing from this, but I'll do that later. So I'm going to take this and I am going to miter the tab here. So I'm going to cut that in and cut it all the way. And I'm going to actually be using this piece for something else. So I'm just going to set it aside, but I only need one of them. And then I am going to cut up and do the same thing and miter this. So I end up with a tab. There we go. And I don't need it to be this long, so I'm just going to cut it like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I am going to just makes it easier to close. And by cutting with the paper cutter, I have nice straight edges. I didn't have to cut down on that score line. You don't have to do that cutting if you're not, sure if you want to do it that way. I like doing it with the paper cutter because it just gives me the really nice straight lines. And then again, I'm going to just cut that piece off. And now this is ready for me to start putting together. So I am going to use my bone folder and make some really nice score lines. Anytime you're making a box or a fun fold, you want to really have some nice fold lines. Some good creases, because this is going to create the box. There we go. So this piece, just so that you can get an idea, is going to fold up like this. So you can see that there's going to be the little box in. But what I'd like to do first is just add my designer series paper, which is going to go right up to the top here. So I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal. And this is going to go right here. And this is the front of the box. So now I've got to decide with this here which piece I want to use. And I was leaning towards this as one of my choices. So let me see what it looks like with the calendar there. So that's one choice. I don't really see much there. So let's see what else I have. This one, I think, if I'm going to choose flowers, I'm going to choose this one. So if I put this here with the calendar over it, I see some nice florals there. And so I think this is the one I'm going to use. But I also had this one, which shows some of just the greenery, which looks nice. And I also had this one here, which again, you get to see some greenery. What I think I like about this piece is that I have a little bit of a sunflower up there, and I've got some right here that are going to show. So I'm going to add that to my front. There we go. And I'm gonna add this right now. Let's just get this on. I am going to use some tear and tape, and I am going to be generous with it. Actually, I'm not going to put it on yet, but I will put this on because I've got to add a ribbon once it's made. So let's say just put this tear and tape on and have it ready. I'm going to leave the middle of the notepad with no tear and tape because I want to have the ribbon go underneath it and have room to move. But I want to make sure, especially up here where I have that seam that's holding the calendar together, it's going to be ripped, and torn in that area. So I want to have some good adhesive on it. So that's ready to go. Let's get this next piece ready. So what I need, so this is my piece. It does have a score line in it. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to not waste some paper. This is the piece that I needed at 7/8 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to chop off the end that was mitered. So this is going to be 4 1/4. And then I need to do some scoring with it. And so I am going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 1 inch. So here's my 1/2 inch. Let's get that. And then I'm going to score it at 1 inch. I really love that our paper cutter has some of the measurements on both sides so that you can go in whichever direction is best. Okay, now we're done with the paper cutter. So I'm going to fold this like this because I am going to want this, I don't know how well you can see this, to form a little place to put my pen. So this is going to be going inside this, and I am going to be attaching it right under the designer series paper, and it's going to go all the way to the edge. Again, I'm going to use the tear and tape because it's going to be moving all over the place. So with the pen going in and out, I want it to be really secure to hold that pen in place. And then I'm going to put right on the front of it some tear and tape so I can attach it to the inside of the pocket. And again, I burnish my tear and tape just to make sure it is really secure when I take the outer part off. Now, this is going to go around this way, so I need my tear and tape to go on this very outermost tab. It's okay if I cut it a little too long. I can take care of that once I open it and take the excess. Okay, so we're ready to put this together, just about. So I'm going to use my paper piercer. I keep my tool, my handy tool in my tool case, and keep my paper piercer on my desk. So I'm going to attach that right there, and then I am going to loosen this because I don't want to have it attach yet, but I want it to be a little loose at the top so that when I go to reach in there, I can get it. Okay, so I'm going to take these off. And I'm going to just take this extra tape and fold it up and take this piece off. And I am going to fold those tabs in and bring this along the back. Line it up. And do the same with this side. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to go down. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to come in here. Here's the tricky part. I need to get that piece of, let me hold it down with one. It's the hardest part of the whole thing. Is to hold that down and get the outer there we go. And now I'm just going to move that right in place and push it into the corner and seal it down. Perfect. Okay, so now we have this part all made. And what I'm going to do now is make the mechanism. So I'm going to fold this. So we end up with kind of like a mountain fold. There we go. And we're going to put sticky strip on the top and the bottom. Please make sure if you're watching either on the replay or the live that you shout out a hello and tell me where you're watching from. I'd love to know. And I have another roll already. I go through a lot of sticky strip. I mean, tear and tape used to be called sticky strip. So this is to adhere it on the top and the bottom. And we're going to adhere it on the top first. So I'm going to take this and line it right up. So it's nice and even. There we go. And just make sure it's nice and attached. And before I attach it, it's just easier to tie my bow while it's apart. I'm not going to actually tie a bow, I'm tying a knot. There we go. And so this is a retired ribbon. I'm just trying to use up some of my stash, but I loved, it's a heavier ribbon. It has the little silver trim, so it looks a little more festive. So I have that there, and now I can adjust it because I'm going to want to put my calendar on. So before I put my calendar on, yeah, let me just do that now. There we go. It's certainly sticky. And I want it to put this so it's pretty close to being all the way over. Okay, there we go. We've got that on. Now we can attach it to the back side, and the mechanism will all be made. So I'm going to just make sure that this goes on the bottom evenly. There we go. And we have our device made. Isn't that just adorable? So pretty with the paper. So now I can take my Post-it note and slip it right in. So we have that. Now let's get the pen ready. So these are the Pentel RSVP pens, and they have a clear barrel, which makes it really nice when you want to add designer series paper. So I'm just going to twist this off here and take this out. And I'm going to start with a pencil first because I want to get some of the fibers in this paper softened. So I'm going to roll this paper right over the pencil. It's easier to roll it on a bigger surface than that little small, just to get some of those fibers broken. And I want to make sure I put it in the way I want it to be standing. So I'm going right up to the edge, and I'm just going to roll this as close as I can. Keep that edge there. Oops, I don't want that to come off. Always does when I'm doing this. So you just have to get these fibers so that they're going to break up and roll a little bit. There we go. I think I've got it. I can get it small. It does take a little bit of manipulating because you want this to fit back into the pen, and there's not a ton of room. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I've made this longer to have something longer than I need it to be, to have something at the top to push it in with. And you might have to keep adjusting to get it tight enough. So I'm going to cut some of this off. You know, I hardly ever have a hard time with this. And tonight I just don't have it tight enough. So let's try again. Like I said, sometimes the little touches take the longest time to do. Okay. Let's try again. Get this end. I think I have this end too soft now. Well, I don't know why this won't work for me. It worked fine. I made 2 of them earlier. Okay, I'm just going to try another piece. Try it one more time. If I can't get it, then you'll just have to trust me that this really works. Okay, let's try it one more time. See what we can do here. Oh, this is going much better. I think this will work. Okay, let's hold that together and oh my goodness, this is just crazy. So anyway, let me give you some announcements while I'm figuring this out. First of all, if you do not have another demonstrator as a that you use and you need a catalog, please message me or put it in the chat so that I can, oh, this is working now, so that I can get one to you. I can put that out in the mail for you. Okay, let me just cut this off now. We've got it all in. Just took some perseverance. Let's put that back in with the top. And look at this, we've got a nice lined pin. Here we go. Beautiful. And so then this fits in that little spot that I created in the box. And we now have our beautiful notepad holder with a calendar. So pretty. I love it. And I think my coworkers will love having this on their desk as well. Just make sure it's folded and will stand up. There we go. So as I was saying, if you need a catalog for the upcoming new mini catalog and celebration, please let me know so I can get one out to you. You can message me or, like I said, put it in the comments and I'll get in touch with you. Next week will be our first Fun Fold Friday of the year. I look forward to sharing some new products from the mini catalog and a new Fun Fold. I hope you have a great week and a happy new year, and stay safe this weekend, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye, everyone.